You can spot a low-value person by how easily they fold. Their time, up for grabs. Their energy, drained by anyone who asks. Their sense of self, negotiable. But high-value people move differently. They're not cruel, but they're cold where it counts. They've learned that without clear boundaries, you don't just lose control, you lose yourself. This video isn't about setting limits to push others away. It's about drawing lines that protect your peace, your power, and your purpose. Today, we're breaking down 7 boundaries high-value people never break. 1. They don't explain their growth to people who've chosen stagnation. When you change, people panic, not because you're wrong, but because you're proof that they're stuck. And the moment you start building, the people committed to staying small will demand explanations. You've changed. Why are you doing this now? You think you're better than us? A high-value person doesn't plead their case. Why? Because Stoicism teaches us that opinions, especially ignorant ones, are outside our control. The more energy you spend justifying your evolution, the more power you hand back to the very people you're outgrowing. Growth is uncomfortable, so is leaving people behind. But anyone who demands a reason for your self-improvement isn't looking for understanding. They're trying to keep you small. High-value people walk forward without asking permission. The only explanation they offer is results. 2. They don't allow chaos in the name of family. Some people confuse blood with loyalty. They think shared DNA gives them a pass to disrespect, manipulate, or drain you. But high-value people draw hard lines, because chaos, no matter where it comes from, is still chaos. Stoic virtue puts reason over sentiment, and reason says, if someone constantly brings disorder into your life, they don't deserve access to your inner circle, regardless of last name. You can love someone from a distance. You can offer grace without sacrificing your peace. But you never allow guilt to override your need for order. It's not heartless, it's discipline. High-value people don't cut people off impulsively. They observe, they set limits. And when those limits are violated repeatedly, they walk away, quietly, firmly, and without looking back. 3. They don't beg for emotional safety. One of the most dangerous patterns in low-value living is begging unsafe people to handle your heart carefully, hoping they'll be gentler, asking them to please understand. But high-value people don't do that. They build environments where their emotions aren't on trial. Stoicism doesn't promote emotional repression. It promotes emotional ownership. You're responsible for your responses, but also for protecting the space where your emotions are processed. If someone consistently weaponizes your vulnerability, dismisses your feelings, or turns conflict into performance, you don't keep explaining your pain. You step back. You stop bleeding in front of people who find it entertaining. Emotionally rich people need emotionally safe spaces. High-value people make that a requirement, not a reward. They'd rather stand alone in truth than be surrounded in false comfort. 4. They don't trade their time for guilt. Guilt is one of the cheapest currencies manipulators use. You never have time for me. After all I've done, this is how you treat me. If you respond to guilt, you'll spend your whole life in someone else's emotional debt. High-value people see time as sacred. Every minute is an investment, and guilt is not a valid invoice. The Stoics remind us, what we control is how we spend our days. And a person's inability to manage their own life doesn't make you responsible for fixing it. You can be generous without being exploited, compassionate without being controlled. But once someone starts pulling guilt strings, the boundary gets drawn. High-value people don't sacrifice their time to avoid discomfort. They say no, clearly, calmly, and without guilt. Because freedom begins when guilt stops working. 5. They don't let validation become a drug. Most people chase approval like oxygen. Every post, every conversation, every decision is filtered through the question, will they like me for this? But high-value people break that addiction early. Why? Because once validation becomes your fuel, control over your identity is outsourced. You live in fear of disapproval. You contort yourself for applause. And slowly, you become a performance instead of a person. The Stoics taught that our self-worth must be rooted in virtue, not opinion. Integrity, discipline, courage, those are internal. Approval is external and unstable. High-value people don't wait for claps. They measure themselves against standards, not compliments. They show up fully, regardless of whether anyone notices. Because real strength is doing the right thing when no one's watching and not needing a damn trophy to prove it. 6. They don't confuse kindness with access. Being kind doesn't mean being available. High-value people know the difference. They offer warmth, respect, and compassion, but they don't give access to everyone, because access is power. And when you give it without discernment, you invite chaos into your schedule, your mental space, and your emotional life. Stoic philosophy reminds us to protect our inner citadel, the space where our judgment lives. Letting the wrong people too close pollutes it. So they make it clear, kindness is a reflection of their values, not an open invitation. You can be polite and still protect your calendar. You can be warm and still say no. High-value people don't fear being misunderstood. They fear being misused. And that's why they don't let charm or guilt override their standards for who gets close. 7. They don't lie to themselves to keep the peace. The most dangerous boundary you can break is the one with yourself. Low-value people do it every day. They stay in bad marriages. They tolerate fake friends. They pretend their job isn't draining the life out of them, all because facing the truth would break the illusion of peace. But high-value people confront reality ruthlessly. They understand that pretending things are fine doesn't make them so. Stoicism is built on perception, action, and will, and it begins with seeing things as they truly are, not as we wish they were. If something is broken, they admit it. If a relationship is one-sided, they acknowledge it. If they're the problem, they take ownership. Because peace built on lies isn't peace, it's delay. High-value people would rather face the fire today than be consumed by it tomorrow. These aren't just personality traits, they're boundaries forged in fire through betrayal, pressure, loneliness, and loss. Because becoming high-value isn't about being admired, it's about being anchored in who you are, what you stand for, what you allow, and what you don't. If you want to protect your mind, your purpose, and your energy, start with these lines. Enforce them, not with anger, not with pride, but with clarity. The world doesn't give you peace. It tries to take it every day, and your boundaries are the only defense. If this hit home, subscribe now. This channel isn't about fluff. It's about fortifying your mindset with time-tested truths. Check the description below for the tools, reading, and training to help you level up. Draw your lines, hold your standard, live like someone who actually respects themselves. Because if you don't, no one else will.